Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So today I'm going to talk about, some weird claims that I think many or some schools claim, and why I think the claims are not just weird but fraudulent. Yeah, I'm not saying that the schools are fraudulent. What I'm saying is that the claims are fraudulent. At least the specific claims that I'm going to share with you. So one of the schools that I know claims that they envision to build a community of lifelong learners. Think about that for a second. They claim to build a community of lifelong learners. Now that sounds really noble and good and beautiful and even true. But think about that for a moment. Like, we've been building communities long before the first schools were even, established. Okay? We've been building communities long before the first formal educational institutions were established. Okay? And we've also been learning long before the first civilizations and even first cities even existed. We are biologically programmed to learn, to make sense of the world, to look for causes and effects, to understand relationships, to navigate relationships, to solve problems, to make plans, to learn through trial and error. These things are things that we naturally do. And then they claim that they envision to build a community of lifelong learners. It's weird. It's like I'm already giving you this thing, but you already have it. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. Okay? And also, they claim, and not just that particular school, whatever that school is, but they also claim, something like this. Okay? They aim to produce critical thinking citizens of the world who can think for themselves, who can be responsible for themselves. Yeah, but here is the thing. We are taught and trained to comply and to be dependent on their approval. We're like being trained to be like, submissive servants, and who can only say, yes, because you say so, you're the authority. And that to me is just the opposite of critical thinking. Because, critical thinking citizens, as I see them, are people who question claims because the claims are, either doubtful or need to be really understood and clarified. They're not accepted because, an authority figure says so. If the authoritative figure has nothing to do with the claim. The claim is examined. That to me is one of the things that make critical thinkers. But that's not what schools do. Teacher says, Students do. Okay? Without question. And when students question, they are labeled as rude, rebellious, delinquents. But then, that's that's critical thinking. Of course, it doesn't mean that when students question teachers, they are by default right. No, it's just that schools are supposed to teach students how to reason, and when you say how to reason, we mean when we say when we say reason, how to reason, we mean how to separate figures from what they say, and to examine the claims of their logical consistency, of their of their presuppositions, of the truth value, or whatever the case may be. All right, that to me is critical thinking, really. But in my experience and my observations, it's just the opposite, man. It's just the opposite. Okay. So what do we do then? I think that we should own our own educational process. We should learn what we want to learn. Right? There are many videos on YouTube out there who teach for free, like how to do this, how to do that, how to learn this, how to learn that, and there are PDF files and ebooks. Well, maybe they're the same. I don't know. I'm stupid, but you get the point, right? And then you have websites, right? So that that's something you can teach yourself. All right. So this school thing, as if we needed the permission to learn, it's BS, really. Now, of course, I'm not saying that schools are useless. It's just that, well, I've already told you, like critical thinking, well, they don't teach it. Maybe they do. Maybe they do teach it to a certain degree. Maybe they even encourage you to do it. But when that critical thinking is applied against their claims, against their actions, against their decisions that affect you and everyone else, that's a totally different story. You're hated for it most of the time, if not all the time. Thank you very much for listening.